Glass shatters against the marble floor as coloured mist pours out, swirling around her ankles. The Alpha King's voice cracks. If you run, the vial fills faster. Her fingers tremble over the warm golden vial, the one already etched with her name. 30 days ago, she was only a servant. Seris hissed as glass bit her thumb. Blood streaked the vial in her grip.
Careful. That's the king's shelf.
Seris pressed her skirt to the cut, ignoring Lyra's warning. The throne room's hush pressed in. Vials lined the shelves, each swirling with mist, blue, gold, red. Her hands shook from cold and nerves. Boots struck marble. The room froze. Cassian, Alpha King, strode in, cloak trailing, silver wolf clasp glinting. Nobles bowed their heads. Even Lyra shrank back. Cassian stopped at the dais. He held out a gloved hand. A courtier rushed forward, wordless, scroll ready. The silence thickened. Seris reached for another vial. Her grip slipped. Glass clattered. A sharp crack echoing. Cassian's voice cut through.
A servant who drops glass has no place here. Stand.
Heat crawled up Seris's neck. She stood, eyes down. Nobles stared, hungry, bored, judging. Mist from the broken vial curled and vanished.
Look at me. Explain.
She forced her gaze up. The wolves on his gloves seemed to snarl.
I slipped. It won't happen again.
Cassian let silence drag. Then, dismissive.
If you're so clumsy, dust the forbidden shelf. Perhaps you'll break nothing there.
Gasps. Lyra's hand flew to her mouth. No one touched the forbidden shelf. It stood in shadow, half empty, dust thick. Seris's knees wobbled, but she crossed the room. Every eye followed. The shelf radiated cold. She wiped dust with her sleeve, peering through gloom. Most vials were empty. One at the end glowed with dense gold mist. She reached for it, bracing for chill. Warmth pulsed against her palm. She drew the vial out. Her name, Seris, gleamed on the glass. Not a number, not a sigil. Impossible. No one here used her name. A courtier snickered. Lyra's eyes begged, don't. Seris couldn't let go. Cassian's shadow loomed. She turned, vial trembling in her hand. The warmth intensified, burning. Cassian's gaze flicked from vial to her face. Too long. Something shifted in his eyes. Mist from other vials curled toward her.
Bring it here, now.
Seris stepped forward, heart pounding, the vial blazing in her grip, while the court leaned in, desperate to see what she'd do next.
Walk faster.
Seris stumbled to keep pace, the iron keys biting her fist. Cassian's cloak snapped past her shoulder. The corridor's only sound was his boots. Too fast, too loud. She tasted old wax on her tongue, bitter and stale. He stopped. She nearly crashed into him. The wall scraped her knuckles as she caught herself. Cassian's shadow blocked the lantern's glow. He didn't look at her.
You touch what should stay sealed.
His voice was flat, final. At the corridor's end, 2 guards stiffened, then vanished behind a door.
If you're going to punish me, do it.
She kept her gaze down. The keys dug deeper. Cassian's eyes flicked to her fist, unreadable.
You're my scribe now.
He held out a parchment, red seal pressed deep. Her stomach dropped. Scrubbing floors was safe. This was a snare.
Why me?
He let silence stretch, jaw clenched.
The vial didn't break. That gives me 30 days.
The words landed heavy. Her fingers tightened on the keys.
30 days for what?
Every woman I love dies when her vial fills. 30 days from the first sign. No exceptions.
His tone was too steady, rehearsed. Her pulse skipped.
Love? You don't even know my name.
His mouth twitched. Not a smile, a tick. His eyes flicked to the gold thread unraveling on his glove.
Names are useless. Affection kills.
He stepped closer. She smelled leather and something metallic. He didn't touch her, but the threat pressed in.
You'll stay where I can see you. Speak of the vial, and you'll regret it. Disobey, and everyone will know.
Her throat tightened, but she forced calm.
So I'm your prisoner, because of your curse.
You had a choice. You chose wrong.
He nodded at the keys. He could take them, but didn't. He waited, daring her to fight. A flicker down the hall. Lyra, watching, face unreadable. Hope sparked. then died. Even Lyra wouldn't help. Seris swallowed. She wanted to spit defiance, but met his eyes instead.
All right, but I won't be your excuse for murder.
Cassian's thumb twitched, gold thread glinting.
None of this is yours to decide, or mine. The vial will fill, unless...
He cut himself off, jaw working. She waited. He said nothing. The corridor pressed in. The keys stung her palm. 30 days. Love meant death. How could a feeling fill glass? If she refused to care, could she break the curse? Cassian turned, cloak sweeping behind him. She followed, heart pounding. Glass shattered nearby. Sharp, sudden, final.
Again, from the greeting.
Seris's hand cramped around the quill, but she forced her letters straight. The noble's laughter scraped her nerves raw. She didn't look up. If she did, she'd see Cassian's wolf clasp glinting, his jaw locked in judgment.
Copy. Word for word. You know the rule.
She dipped the quill, the ink biting her nose with its metallic tang. Every mistake meant starting over. Her wrist throbbed, sweat gathered at her hairline, but she kept writing, the scratch of the nib the only thing she could control. A noble's voice cut through the hush.
Alpha's pet can't even spell her own name.
Seris bit her tongue. She finished the line, but her S wavered.
Again.
She started over. The nobles shifted, silks whispering. Cassian dictated, his words clipped. Impossible. She wrote. She erased. She wrote again. A tray crashed behind her. A wolf pup, too big for its paws, skidded between the nobles, scattering fruit and dignity. Laughter burst from Seris before she could stop it.
Control yourself, scribe.
His voice was rougher than before. She risked a glance. Cassian's gaze tracked the pup, not her. For a breath, the hall loosened. Servants giggled. A noble shrieked at paw prints on velvet. Seris's heart slowed. She almost smiled. The pup was hauled away, tail wagging in victory. Cassian's hand cut the air.
Silence.
The room froze. Seris's quill hovered.
Describe the treaty's terms. Full sentences. No errors.
She wrote, "Careful now." A page behind the throne coughed. Her hand jerked, ink blotting the margin. Cassian's boot tapped, steady as a clock.
You'll rewrite it until you remember perfection.
Seris pressed harder, each letter carved in defiance. Her shoulders ached, but she refused to break. Cassian leaned forward, voice low.
Write the word freedom into the final line.
She hesitated. The order was wrong, dangerous. Cassian's gloved fist clenched, his eyes flickering with something she couldn't name. She wrote, "Freedom," each letter deliberate, a secret message. Cassian looked away, jaw tight. The nobles watched, hungry for weakness. Lyra stood at the edge, silent, her gaze steady on Seris, a lifeline in the storm. Seris's thumb brushed the parchment's edge, close to the forbidden vials stacked behind her. Heat pulsed from the glass. Tempting. What if she touched one now, in front of them all? Cassian's voice cut through, brittle.
Do not touch the vials.
Every head turned. Seris froze. The quill trembled in her grip, then steadied. She finished the line, freedom, hanging at the bottom like a dare. Tomorrow, the rules would change. Tonight, she wrote, and waited for the next command. Seris slipped through the half-open door, breath held, fingers pressed to the rough wool at her waist. She counted 3 steps, then froze. A guard's cough echoed from the far end. She waited, heart hammering, until silence returned. Inside, vials lined the shelves, each swirling with coloured mist. She scanned for the warm, one gone. In its place, a dustless patch, sharp against the grime. She brushed it with her thumb. Clean. Someone had taken it.
You're late.
She spun. Cassian leaned in the doorway, cloak draped over one shoulder, eyes unreadable.
I wasn't told to come.
He stepped inside, boots scuffing the stone. His gaze flicked to the empty spot on the shelf.
That vial. Did you touch it?
It was already gone.
Cassian's jaw tightened. He lifted a vial, studying the mist inside as it curled toward his gloved hand.
The last Omega thought she could break the curse. She failed. Everyone paid.
Seris watched his hands, scarred gold thread fraying at the knuckles. She wanted to ask about the curse, about the Omega, but her voice caught. Cassian hummed, low and steady. The vial's mists shifted, colours deepening, shapes twisting toward him. The air felt charged, as if the glass itself strained to hear.
Why do they react to you?
He didn't answer. Instead, he set the vial down and turned away. Footsteps scuffed the corridor outside. 2 servants, voices sharp but hushed.
She opened it herself, they say. That's why the king won't speak of her. The mist still lingers. Keep your voice down. You want to end up like her?
Seris shrunk back, pulse racing. Cassian's eyes met hers, hard, but something flickered beneath.
If you're gonna spy, be less obvious.
I'm not spying. I want to know what happened.
He hesitated, then let out a breath.
Curiosity is dangerous here. So is trust.
He started to leave, but paused as a faint vibration ran through the shelf. One vial, third from the end, began to hum, a faint resonance Seris felt in her bones. She reached for it. The glass tingled beneath her fingertips. Alive. Cassian's voice dropped to a whisper.
Don't. Not unless you're ready to pay the price.
Seris stared at the vial, torn between fear and need. Behind her, the servants' voices faded. Ahead, Cassian waited, silent, watching. The vial's hum grew stronger, as if calling her name. Seris closed her hand around the glass. The world held its breath.
Up.
Seris jerked awake, heart hammering. Cassian stood over her, cloak draped over one arm, eyes narrowed. The battered table beside her held a golden hourglass, sand streaming down at a pace that made her stomach twist. She sat up fast, blanket falling away. Her hand brushed something solid beneath it, a metal ring, cold against her palm. She hid it, as Cassian's gaze flicked to the hourglass.
30 days. Try to run. The sand drains faster.
His tone was flat, but a muscle jumped in his jaw. Seris pushed tangled hair from her face, forcing herself to meet his stare.
If I do as you ask, what do I get?
He arched a brow, unimpressed.
You're bargaining? Now?
1 hour outside. The village. You can send guards. In return, I'll answer one question. Truthfully.
Cassian stepped closer, boots scraping the stone. He set his cloak on her shoulders. Unexpected, heavy, lined with silk. The fabric still held his body heat. He hovered over the hourglass, fingers flexing as if tempted to crush it.
Name your question.
Seris swallowed, voice steady.
Ask me about the vials. I answer. Then I go.
Cassian's lips thinned. He turned away, considering. The hourglass kept pouring sand relentless. A servant's shadow drifted past the door. Silent witness. Cassian faced her again.
1 hour. You return before the sand runs out. No tricks.
Seris nodded, pulling the cloak tighter. The silk pressed against her skin, unfamiliar and almost defiant.
Agreed.
Cassian's eyes lingered on her, unreadable. She glanced at the hourglass, watching her own reflection fracture in the falling grains. The bargain hung between them, fragile as spun glass. Outside, the palace stirred. Footsteps, distant voices, the world moving on without her. Seris wondered if anyone would notice if she vanished. The hourglass hissed, counting down. Who would run out of time first, her or the king?
Lyra, I need you.
Seris shoved through the market crowd, breath ragged, eyes locked on the healer's stall, wedged between a wheelwright and a heap of shriveled apples. Lyra's moss-green cloak fluttered, silver hair escaping its braid. She looked up, surprise flickering in her gaze.
You're alone, foolish girl. The king's leash snaps quick.
Seris ignored the warning, glancing over her shoulder. No escort in sight. She pressed the linen scrap into Lyra's hand, her fingers trembling.
Tell me about the vials, about the curse, please.
A cart rattled by, splashing something sticky onto Seris's boot. She barely noticed. Lyra's thumb traced the cloth, her silver ring glinting. A crest Seris recognized from Cassian's cloak.
You're risking more than your post meddling with palace magic.
I don't care. I need the truth.
Lyra's gaze darted past Seris, scanning the crowd. She leaned closer, her voice a rasp.
The vials bind 2 lives, the one who breaks them and the one who sealed them. The king's fate is chained to their magic. He can't break free. Neither can you now.
Seris's pulse hammered. Cassian's warning echoed in her mind, the way he'd watched her hands, the weight behind his words.
If I fail,
He suffers. Or worse, old magic always takes double.
A crash split the air. Down the lane, a cart tipped, chickens exploding into chaos. A tall man in a peasant's cap lunged after a runaway hen, arms flailing. The crowd roared with laughter. Seris stared. The man's build was wrong for a villager. Shoulders too broad, movements too precise. The chickens didn't care. They battered him with wings and beaks.
He's terrible at hiding, even with feathers.
Kings never vanish, not in crowds, not in messes they made.
Seris almost laughed, but the knot in her chest tightened. She turned back to Lyra, voice low.
You served at court. Why keep this from me?
Lyra's grip closed around Seris's wrist, iron strong.
Because some secrets kill. The king isn't the only one afraid of what's buried. Some things are meant to stay lost.
Her ring flashed again, same crest as Cassian's. The connection snapped into focus, then blurred as the crowd surged. Someone shouted Seris's name, sharp and urgent. Seris jerked back, heart pounding. The market's noise pressed in, the scent of trampled herbs rising. She didn't wait to see if Cassian would follow, or if Lyra would call her back. What had Cassian given up to bind himself to the curse, and what would she lose if she uncovered what he was hiding?
Did you hear that?
Cassian's hand shot out, halting her mid-step. The path behind them was empty, but the undergrowth rustled. Close, too close.
Quiet.
A guttural snarl cut through the silence. Seris's heart hammered, but she gripped Cassian's arm, refusing to cower.
How many?
Cassian's jaw clenched. He scanned the darkness, eyes narrowed, every muscle taut. The first wolf broke cover, teeth bared. Cassian shoved Seris behind him, cloak flaring. She stumbled, caught herself, and snatched a fallen branch.
Stay behind me. Don't run.
Another wolf slunk from the shadows, hackles up. Cassian's voice was steady, but his fingers trembled as he stripped off his gloves. Gold thread snagged, tearing loose. A third wolf lunged. Cassian moved, faster than she'd ever seen, blocking the attack with his body. He kicked the beast away, but more shapes prowled the edge of the path. Seris braced herself, branch raised. Her palms were slick, but she held her ground.
You have a plan? Or are we improvising?
Cassian didn't answer. He shrugged off his cloak, letting it drop at her feet. His hands shook as he pulled off the last glove. For a heartbeat, Seris glimpsed sweat on his brow. A wolf sprang. Cassian met it head-on. His form blurred, bones shifting, fur rippling over skin, clothes shredded. Where Cassian had stood, a massive black wolf now blocked the path, larger than any of the rogues, eyes burning gold. The pack hesitated, but hunger drove them on. One charged, Cassian lunged, jaws snapping, tossing the wolf aside. Another darted at Seris. She swung her branch, striking its shoulder. It yelped, retreating.
Come on then. I dare you.
A wolf circled behind. Cassian, still wolf, intercepted, body coiled to strike. His gaze flicked to Seris, unreadable. Another wolf leapt. Cassian roared, a sound that rattled Seris's bones. The pack broke, scattering into the trees. Silence crashed down. Cassian panted, sides heaving. Seris's breath came in short bursts. Lanterns bobbed on the path ahead. Villagers, servants, guards. They froze at the sight. Cassian, fur matted, blood streaking his flank. Seris stepped forward, blocking their view.
He's the king. Show respect or leave.
No one moved. The villagers stared, not with terror but awe. Cassian shifted back, slow and shuddering. Fur receded, bones realigned. He crouched naked in the dirt, blood dripping from his arm. Seris grabbed his cloak, wrapped it around his shoulders. Cassian's hands shook as he clutched the wall, eyes downcast.
No one speaks of this. Understood?
His voice was raw, strict of command. Seris met his gaze. For once, she saw only exhaustion. The crowd murmured, uncertain. A branch snapped deeper in the woods. Cassian's head jerked up, eyes wild. Not fear of the villagers, something else hunted tonight. Seris pressed the cloak tighter, unsure if she pitied or feared him. The villagers whispered, questions rising. Somewhere in the darkness, another predator waited. And Seris knew the real danger had not yet shown its face.
Give me your hand.
Seris hesitated, knife already in her grip. Cassian's wrist bled steadily, staining his glove. He didn't flinch. She pressed the blade to her palm. The cut was quick, blood welling up. She met his gaze, steady, unreadable.
You're certain this binds us both, not just me?
You want to survive? This is the price. My strength, your risk.
He stepped forward, closing the gap. Their hands hovered, hers shaking, his marked with old scars.
Say it. Bound by blood, if one falls, so does the other.
Seris swallowed, voice thin but clear.
Bound by blood. If one falls, so does the other.
Their palms met. Blood mingled slick and hot between their fingers. A jolt shot up her arm, like plunging into icy water. Shocking and alive. She gasped, knees digging into the earth. Cassian's grip tightened.
Don't let go. Not until the sun hits the tree.
Seris focused on his hand. The pressure, the pulse beneath his skin. She sensed his fatigue, the weight he carried, the hunger he hid. For a moment, she almost pitied him. A distant wolf's cry broke the silence. She didn't look away.
You understand what you've done? You hold my life now. Betray me, and you'll feel it first.
If I die, you die. That's the bargain.
He smiled, cold, sharp.
You learn fast. Good. I need someone who doesn't flinch.
A shaft of sunlight struck the silver leaf bark. Cassian released her. Blood streaked her palm, already closing, skin knitting together as if time had skipped. She flexed her fingers, staring at the wound that wasn't.
You trust me with this? With you?
He wiped his hand on the moss, jaw set.
Trust is irrelevant. The bond is law now.
A bell rang from the palace. Distant, urgent. Cassian's eyes flicked to the sound.
We move. Now.
Seris stood, her body thrumming with unfamiliar strength. She could feel him, his presence, his power, threaded through her veins. She looked at her palm, drying blood a reminder. The bond pulsed, warning and promise both. She followed Cassian toward the trees, but one question burned in her mind. Had she just saved herself, or doomed them both?
Cassian!
Her shout split the silence as she slammed her fist against the oak door. Vial clutched tight, coloured mist leaking between her fingers. The door jerked open. Cassian's silhouette filled the frame, eyes narrowing at the sight of her wild braid and trembling hands.
You should be in bed.
Bed? Look at this.
She shoved the vial toward him. The mist curled, drifting upward, staining her skin.
It's breaking. You said 30 days. It's not even 3.
He glanced at her hands, jaw tight.
You survived the pact. The rules hold if you follow them.
Your rules are killing me.
Her voice was flat, but her heart hammered. The mist crawled up her wrist, leaving her fingers numb. He didn't answer. She pressed on, stepping into the light of the library, refusing to back down.
Why me? Why risk a blood pact with a servant? You could have chosen anyone.
He turned away, gloved hand braced on a shelf, gold thread fraying at the thumb.
You're precise. You follow orders.
I broke your rules the first night.
She watched him flinch, just a twitch, before his face hardened.
You're defiant, but you know how to survive. That's what matters.
That's not an answer.
She stepped closer, voice dropping.
Who am I to you, really?
He stared at the books, silent. Then, quietly,
You remind me of her.
the words hit her like a slap. Her? The mist thickened between them, swirling in the lamplight.
Who?
He picked up a gilded book, flipping it open with stiff fingers.
No one you'd know.
Try me.
He snapped the book shut, voice clipped.
You ask too many questions for a servant.
And you give too few answers for a king.
He stepped forward, sudden and close. His gloved hand brushed a stray lock from her cheek. Their eyes locked, the mist coiling between them, bright and dangerous. He held her gaze a moment too long, then dropped his hand, composure cracking.
You're sweating. Sit.
He shoved a mug toward her, water sloshing over the rim, and soaking a stack of papers. The cup tumbled to the floor, splashing his boots. Cassian muttered,
Never get what you pay for.
irritation roughening his words. Seris almost laughed, but the chill on her skin deepened. The mist crept higher, numbing her arm.
You know things about me you shouldn't. Names, places. Who is her?
He didn't answer, just watched the mist spiral in the air, his fists clenched at his sides. The shattered hourglass on the floor bled sand across the stone. Time was almost gone. Seris caught his reflection in the cracked window, drawn, haunted, eyes refusing to meet hers. Secrets pressed in, thick as the mist. The wind battered the shutters. Neither of them moved.
When the vial empties, what happens to me?
Cassian's silence was absolute. The mist reached her elbow. The countdown was nearly over. Seris yanked the ledger free, nearly toppling a stack of brittle scrolls. The spine groaned in her grip, silver thread glinting as she flipped it open. She scanned the columns, lips moving silently. Cassian's coronation year. There. Names, vial counts, dates. Her finger halted on a faded line. Seris, maiden's bond, filled by royal order. Her pulse kicked. Not quite her name, but close enough to make her skin crawl. A chair scraped behind her.
You're up early, dear one. I worried you'd vanished.
Seris didn't turn. She pressed her finger to the entry.
Who filled these vials, Lyra? This one.
She tapped the page.
Cassian said he never ordered it.
Lyra's steps slowed. The hush between them stretched, broken only by a distant clatter in the corridor.
Not every command is signed by the king. Some are whispered, some forced. Court politics, always a knife in the dark.
Seris snapped the ledger shut. The weight of it pressed into her arm as she faced Lyra. The older woman's eyes were rimmed with exhaustion.
You told me Cassian cursed the vials. Was that just easier than the truth?
I told you what I feared. The curse wasn't his. Another royal cast it. Cassian only carries the blame.
Seris's jaw tightened. She'd spent weeks hating Cassian for chains he hadn't forged.
So we're chasing the wrong villain.
Lyra's mouth thinned.
I wanted to spare you, but you see too much. Always have.
Seris tucked the ledger under her arm, mind racing. Vials filled in secret. A curse written in someone else's hand. An entry almost bearing her name, like the palace had been waiting for her. She paused at the library door. The air tasted stale, heavy with secrets. If Cassian wasn't the author of the curse, then who in these gilded halls had written her fate into the ledger? The answer was out there, coiled and waiting, just beyond the next page.
You're late.
Seris jerked to a stop, nearly colliding with a masked reveler. She adjusted her feathered mask, fingers trembling as she faced Cassian. His wolf mask glinted, silver threads catching the lantern light. He didn't meet her eyes.
You said to blend in. I'm blending.
You're standing out. Smile.
She forced her lips up, the mask's edge digging into her cheek. Beneath her sleeve, the curse's black lines crawled higher. She flexed her hand, and heat pulsed up her arm. She hid it, pressing her palm to her skirts as dancers spun past. Cassian extended his hand, gold thread fraying at his wrist. The crowd parted for him, without a word.
Dance. Now.
She hesitated, then set her hand in his. His grip was iron, steadying her as the music surged. He pulled her into the circle of dancers, steps, sharp and precise.
Try to keep up.
Try not to step on my toes.
He almost smiled. Almost. Their feet moved in sync, skirts and cloaks swirling, masks turning every face into a stranger. The mask's feathers tickled her jaw, but she kept her gaze locked on Cassian's.
You're shaking.
The curse stings, and these shoes are torture devices.
He snorted, barely audible. The music slowed, dancers drawing closer. Cassian's breath brushed her ear.
You never listen.
Only when you make sense.
His thumb pressed against her wrist, just above the curse. She stiffened. But before he could speak, a masked stranger in white velvet spun between them. The stranger leaned in, voice low and urgent. The 25th must choose, the stranger murmured. King or her own life? Seris recoiled. The stranger vanished into the crowd, leaving only the echo of those words. Panic crawled up her spine, sharper than the curse. She grabbed Cassian's sleeve.
Did you hear?
Stay close.
He pulled her in, his cloak enveloping her. She scanned the dancers. Anyone could be the messenger. The warning gnawed at her. A scream sliced through the music. A lantern crashed, glass shattering, mist billowed out, acrid and metallic. The crowd surged, bodies pressing in. Seris clung to Cassian. Above, more lanterns snapped free. spinning wild colours over the chaos. For a heartbeat, Seris stood chest to chest with the king, mask slipping sideways. His breath hovered at her lips. Their hands found each other, fingers locking tight. A figure lunged from the crowd, blade flashing. Cassian moved, blocking Seris with his body. Her mask tumbled to the stones. The stranger's warning thundered in her ears. Across the swirling lights, another masked figure watched, still, silent, waiting. Would she choose the king or herself? And what would the curse take if she chose wrong?
Seris, move.
She lunged, boots grinding over glass, chasing the masked stranger through the riot of dancers. Her fist closed around her vial, edges digging in, grounding her. The stranger slipped past a juggler, silver velvet flashing. Fruit rolled wild across the flagstones. Seris dove. Her fingers found not one, but two vials, hers and its twin. The stranger's shimmered blue. A hand clamped her arm. She twisted, meeting Cassian's glare, amber eyes fierce, grip unyielding.
Give me the vial, now.
She hesitated. Sweat slicked her palm. The vials slipped. One crashed to the stone. Blue and gold vapor erupted, swallowing the space between them. Seris gasped. The mist scraped her throat, bitter as old coins. Glass bit her hand, cold and real. Cassian yanked her back.
Don't breathe. Eyes shut.
Too late. The world warped. Music spiked, crowd noise fractured. Something inside her tore loose, something stitched to Cassian, to the vials. Her knees gave. Cassian caught her, hand steady on her shoulder. A bruised apple thudded against his boot. He kicked it away, jaw set.
If your royal etiquette gets me killed, I want it on my tombstone.
Her voice rasped. Cassian ignored the jab, eyes on her bleeding hand.
You're hurt. Hold still.
He took her palm, glass slicing through glove and skin. Blood welled, streaked with blue and gold dust. He brushed the shards aside, lips pressed thin.
If you faint, I'm not carrying you.
I don't faint.
He flicked out the largest shard. Their faces hovered close, breath tangled. The mist curled, hungry. A juggler barreled past, chasing a runaway pair.
If that fruit touches me, it's collateral damage.
Cassian snorted. Brief, almost human. Then boots thundered towards the gates. Seris spun. The masked stranger was gone. She staggered after, but Cassian blocked her.
You're not chasing them. Not like this.
We need that vial.
Look.
He pointed. The shattered vial's mist faded, draining into the stones. Seris felt hollow, scraped out.
Stay with me. Focus.
What did they take from me?
Cassian didn't answer. He stared at her palm, at the blood and glass, searching for something lost. The festival noise thinned, leaving only the hiss of vanishing vapor and the ache in her hand. Somewhere in the crowd, the stranger vanished with her secret, and maybe her soul. The next move would cost more than blood.
Stay with me.
Seris's knees buckled. She hit the slick stones hard, palms scraping wet moss. Her vision blurred. She tasted iron, her own blood. Cassian dropped beside her, gloved hand steadying her chin. His grip was firmer than she expected, almost gentle.
You should be dead.
His words landed like a blow. She tried to laugh, but it came out ragged.
You always know how to comfort a girl.
Cassian's jaw tightened. He glanced at her wrist, where blood welled up, dark and slow. He lifted her, arms braced as if she might shatter. Her head lolled against his shoulder. The wool of her dress clung damp and heavy. He carried her off the path, cutting through the maze of hedges. The garden's fountains faded behind them, replaced by the hush of leaves brushing overhead. He set her down on a low stone bench, slick with moisture. Seris forced her eyes open. Cassian crouched in front of her, eyes searching her face. He peeled back her sleeve. Blood smeared his glove.
You broke your vial. That curse should have stopped your heart before you hit the ground.
His voice was stripped bare. His hands, usually so sure, trembled.
The others, none of them survived. Not one.
A strand of hair stuck to Seris's cheek. She tried to brush it away, but her arm wouldn't move. Cassian did it for her, thumb rough but careful. She jerked away, breath catching.
I'm not like them.
No, you're not.
He stared at her, something haunted, flickering in his eyes.
Was this your plan? Dispose of me too?
He hesitated. When he spoke, his voice was low, almost raw.
If I wanted you gone, I wouldn't be here now. I wouldn't have touched you.
A wolf howled in the distance. Cassian's hand hovered at her pulse, as if counting each beat. Seris let out a brittle laugh.
Does it bother you that I broke your rules?
Rules don't matter. Not anymore.
He stopped, words choking off. Silence pressed in, thick with things unsaid. Their arms brushed. The bench's chill seeped through her sleeve, anchoring her. Cassian surprised her. He hummed a lullaby, voice rough, the tune wavering. The melody tugged at her memory, sharp and familiar.
Where did you learn that?
He froze. For a moment, he looked young, unguarded.
My mother. She sang it when I was small.
Seris swallowed, throat tight.
Mine too, I think.
The words hung between them, dangerous and close. Cassian's hand lingered at her wrist, then dropped away. She met his gaze, refusing to blink.
Why am I still alive?
Cassian's breath caught. He searched her face, and for the first time, she saw fear.
I don't know.
Seris stared at her bloodied hands. The answer chilled her, but the question was worse. She gripped the edge of the bench, bracing for whatever secret would come next.
Boots off, Your Grace, or mop it yourself.
Cassian froze in the doorway, mud flaking from his soles. His jaw worked, but he obeyed, yanking off his boots with a grunt. Seris's hands twitched. She flexed her fingers, fighting the creeping curse. The wool at her wrists itched, but she ignored it. Eyes locked on the battered leather book Lyra had pointed out yesterday.
You said the answers were here. I'm not leaving empty-handed.
Lyra slid from her stool, bones popping, and reached behind a row of jars. She pressed a linen-wrapped bundle into Seris's palm.
Open it. You've earned that much.
Seris untied the twine. A velvet pouch spilled a single object into her hand. A silver pin, wolf's head crowned and fierce. Cassian stepped forward, voice low.
Where did you get that?
From her mother. Not that the palace ever claimed her.
Seris stared at the pin, thumb brushing the metal. It pulsed, familiar, dangerous. Her mind reeled. Her mother's warnings, the way she'd hidden Seris from every royal parade.
You think this is a game?
I think you're hiding something. My mother kept me away from the palace for a reason. And now this?
She squeezed the pin until it pressed a mark into her skin. A crash erupted outside. Shouts, splintering wood. Lyra snapped the shutters closed, blocking the noise. The room shrank to the three of them, and the secrets between.
Look at the wall. Not everything's in a book.
Seris turned. A portrait hung behind a tangle of dried herbs. A woman with a hard jaw, storm-grey eyes, chin lifted in challenge. The same wolf's head crest at her throat. She stepped closer, breath shallow.
She was erased. My family burned every trace. I never thought.
That I'd survive? Or that I'd find you first?
Cassian's silence was answer enough. His gaze flicked from the portrait to the pin in her hand. Lyra's voice cut through.
Blood ties won't shield you from what's coming. The mist takes what it wants.
Cassian's laugh was harsh.
Blood started the curse. It'll end with it, too.
Seris stared at the portrait, her own features set in defiance. Questions battered her. Had her mother known? Was the curse meant for her? She clenched the pin, the wolf's head biting her palm.
If I wear this, what am I to you?
No one answered. The silence pressed in. A distant bell tolled. Seris traced the crest on the painted woman's collar. Only now did she notice. The woman's hand gripped a vial, half lost in swirling haze. Seris's heart hammered. The truth wasn't finished with her yet. Seris jammed her fingers beneath the stone and yanked. The slab shifted, scraping her knuckles raw.
Come on, move.
The stone gave way. She shoved it aside and plunged her hand into the hollow, soil crumbling around her wrist. Her breath caught as her fingers brushed something, hard, knotted, pulsing faintly. She jerked back. The stub of candle beside her guttered, throwing shadows across the undercroft. She snatched it up, holding the flame close. The root was there, twisted, ancient, veins running through it like scars.
This is it. Lyra said the castle's heart ran deep, but she never said it would feel alive.
No one answered. No Cassian. No guards. Just the steady drip of water somewhere behind her and the root's silent challenge. She dug faster, nails splitting, dirt packing under them. Every scrape sent a jolt up her arm. She welcomed it. Pain meant she was still herself. A bundle tumbled free, oilskin stiff with age. She tore it open. Inside, a letter, sealed with wax, stamped with a crest she didn't know.
House Lurvin, of course.
She scanned the letter, lips moving. To bind the king's love, no heir will thrive. Let the root remain hidden.
So it's vengeance, not fate, not some faceless curse. Someone did this on purpose.
The candle flickered lower. She shoved the letter into her pocket and reached for the root. Her palm closed around it. The thing throbbed, slow, then faster, heat crawling up her arm, then a chill so deep, her teeth clicked. Cassian's face flashed in her mind, wild, desperate, pleading.
If I break you, what's left of me?
Her voice vanished into the stone. She almost laughed, talking to a root, as if it would answer. A memory sliced through. Cassian in the corridor, voice like steel, hand hovering at her back, close enough to promise, never close enough to claim. Her jaw locked. She had to end this. No more waiting, no more hoping someone else would fix it. She squeezed the root. It glowed, green gold, sickly, leaking between her fingers. The undercroft seemed to tense, stones shifting beneath her knees.
Cassian, I hope you're worth this.
A crash echoed from above. Shouts, chaos, the festival tearing itself apart. She pressed lower, clutching the root, every muscle strung tight.
If you want payment, take it, but let him go.
The root split with a sound like bone snapping. Light burst out, blinding, searing, tearing through her thoughts. Her memories buckled. Cassian's touch, his voice, the way he'd looked at her, slipping away, piece by piece. Someone screamed her name. Cassian. She couldn't answer. Her fist slammed down, shattering the root. Everything went white. Then, dirt in her mouth, blood on her tongue, earth pressed into her palms. What had she given up? And what would come for her now?
Put the stone down, Seris.
Seris didn't move. Her fingers dug into the root, sap slicking her palm. The undercroft pressed in, close, suffocating.
You'd rather let it fester? Let the curse finish what it started?
Cassian's boots scraped the stone behind her. He crouched, cloak brushing her arm. His scent, smoke and old leather, cut through the damp.
You think it's that easy? Snap the root? Save the world?
She twisted, trying to wrench free. He caught her wrist, grip iron.
It's dying. So are we. Someone has to choose.
He stared at her, eyes hollow. His voice dropped, brittle.
I should have left you behind. Let the curse take someone else.
She tried to claw at the root, but his hand clamped harder.
You weren't meant to survive this.
The words hit. She froze. His mask slipped. Just a man, not a king. A tear slid down her cheek, landing on his glove. He flinched.
You never cared who paid the price, as long as it wasn't you.
He gave a short, broken laugh.
You think I wanted this? You think I sleep?
His thumb brushed her hand, hesitant.
I knew you that first night, with the vials. You're the reason the curse began.
Her mouth filled with the taste of blood.
Say it, all of it.
He shut his eyes. For a moment, he looked lost.
When I was a child, there was a girl. She vanished the night the curse took root. The king died. She...
He broke off. Above, faint festival drums thudded.
You remind me of her.
Heat crawled up her neck. Another tear traced her jaw.
I'm not her. I never was.
She barely believed it. He bowed his head, forehead pressed to her knuckles. His breath shuddered.
If I'd known, if I tried...
She yanked her hand back, the root pulsed, veins brightening. The stone bit into her skin.
Why now? Why confess? Is this another game?
He met her gaze, voice stripped raw.
Because I won't watch you destroy yourself for us. Not again.
A laugh broke from her, jagged.
You want trust? After everything?
He didn't answer. He reached across the root, hand shaking, covering hers. Mud smeared both their fingers.
Let me help. Don't do this alone.
Tears blurred her vision, dripping onto their hands. Above, something cracked, glass, or maybe a promise. Seris tightened her grip on the stone, heart pounding. Trust him and risk everything? Or cut him out and pay the price alone? The root's glow sharpened. The next choice would tear them apart or bind them forever.
Seris, now, grab my hand.
She lunged for him as the undercroft pitched. glass crunching underfoot. Cassian's grip locked around hers, unyielding, his glove digging into her skin. The air bit at her throat, thick with the sting of spilled vials. A fissure above split wider, sunlight spearing down. The massive root twisted, black veins crawling. Seris flinched as the relics at her feet pulsed, the locket burning against her palm.
Don't look away. Stay with me.
He sounded sure, but his hand trembled. She tried to pull free, not from him, but from the pull of the root, the relics, the curse gnawing at her mind. A low groan rolled through the stones. The castle felt alive, restless. Ceres's heart hammered.
The 25th. That's what it wants. That's what I am.
Her voice barely carried. Cassian leaned closer, sweat shining at his hairline. Glass shuttered behind them. Sunlight sliced through the haze, scattering gold across the floor. Ceres clung to Cassian's hand, the only anchor as her memories threatened to slip away. She forced herself to focus on the root, its coils tightening around the locket. Her locket.
You're not its puppet. I command you, fight.
His words struck like a lash. The frayed gold thread at his thumb snagged her knuckle, then snapped. The sound was small, but inside her, something shifted. The castle shuddered. Light flooded the chamber, blinding. For a heartbeat, Ceres saw herself, not as a servant, but as every memory the curse had stolen. A child's laughter, a promise, whispered in the dark. Agony split her skull. She dropped, knees slamming stone. Cassian followed, refusing to let go.
If I break it, there's nothing left. No past, no me.
Then make something new. I'm here. You're not alone.
His thumb brushed her hand, bare now where the thread had snapped. The heat of him steadied her as the root convulsed. Black veins streaked up her arms, crawling toward her shoulder. Ceres screamed. Rage, not fear.
Let go, Cassian. You're not cursed. I am.
He only tightened his grip. The ground split, mist pouring out. Sunlight stabbed the root. Glass exploded, shards biting their skin. Cassian yanked her close, his breath ragged.
If you go, I go. That's the pact.
The words hit harder than any command. Ceres squeezed her eyes shut, yanked the locket from the root. She pressed it to the core, pouring in everything. Pain, memory, terror. Cassian's hand braced her head, holding her in the world. The root shrieked, the sound rattling her bones. Light devoured the chamber. Vials burst, hissing until only sunlight remained. Clean, golden. Ceres collapsed. Air wouldn't come. Cassian held on, one hand tangled in her braid, the other crushing her fingers, the snapped thread leaving a mark. Memories tumbled back. Fractured, but hers. Lyra's face, silver hair, a mother's comfort. Herself, child and servant and something more. The curse broke. The root withered, crumbling to ash. Dust drifted, gold shot, through the calm.
Seris, don't leave me.
She tried to answer. No sound. Above, sunlight glinted on something half buried in the dust. A key, metal warm against her palm. She closed her fingers around it. One door left, and she knew she had to open it.
You're late.
Cassian stopped at the edge of the garden, cloak askew, hair wild. He looked like he'd fought sleep and lost. No crown, no mask, just him.
You're awake.
Ceres sat on the stone rim of the old fountain, knees drawn up. A wolf pup sprawled across her boots. She wiggled her toes. The pup grumbled, refusing to move. Its fur was coarse, real, not some conjured thing. She pressed her palm to its side, feeling the steady rise and fall.
Someone had to be. You were about to start growing moss out here.
Cassian's mouth twitched. He crossed the grass, boots scuffing dry earth, and crouched beside her. The wolf pup wedged itself stubbornly between them.
The healers are furious. I told them to stand down. I'm used to being ignored.
Seris eyed the frayed seam on his glove. Gold thread replaced by something duller, stitched tight. He picked at it, jaw tense.
You could have let them win, for once.
He shrugged, gazed fixed on the ruined fountain.
Letting go isn't my specialty.
A breeze rattled the silver-leaf branches overhead. The garden felt emptier, but lighter. No vials, no watching eyes, Just open sky and the distant clatter of plates from the kitchens. The wolf pup rolled over, belly up. Seris scratched its chest. It kicked its back leg, satisfied.
So what now? For a man who's spent his life chained to a curse?
Cassian's eyes met hers. No royal distance, only raw uncertainty.
Now, I learned to share my garden. Or try.
He reached for her hand, fingers closing over hers. The wolf pup's warmth pressed into her skin. She didn't pull away. A hush settled. Not the old, brittle silence, but something alive. Cassian leaned in, shoulder brushing hers.
You're not going to order me to kneel?
Not unless you're desperate for ceremony.
She rolled her eyes, but her lips wouldn't hide the smile. Footsteps crunched behind them. A hooded figure strode from the palace, moving with purpose. The wolf pup's ears perked up. The newcomer held out an envelope, wax seal stamped with a sigil Seris didn't know. Cassian's expression darkened. The messenger bowed, voice low.
For the true Alpha Queen.
Seris took the envelope. The parchment was heavy, the script looping and sharp. She ran her thumb along the edge, the weight of the moment settling in her chest. Cassian nodded, silent approval in his eyes. She broke the seal. Inside, something gold flashed. Familiar, dangerous. Some chains, she realized, only changed form. Elara had faced her fate. Now Seris would face hers, standing, not silent, and never alone. Would you open the letter if it bore your name? Or would you walk away? If Seris's defiance lingers with you, let us know. The next story waits, just beyond the seal.